Do you remember the first digital item that you spent money on?
Oh yeah, big time. The first post that I ever did was in a metallic red dress. I think I spent $60 on it.
When you post that picture, what was the response?
I got picked up by a French meme account with over 1 million followers. There are a lot of people who didn't realize it wasn't real. And still to this day, I'll show people my Instagram and people will go, wait, so this isn't real? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but that's also not real. I'm like, none of it is real. None of it is real.
IRL versus URL. These acronyms used to be a way of differentiating our physical and digital realities, but the newest iteration of the internet, Web3, has now blended those two worlds.
Experts generally agree that Web3 is the next stage of the internet. So first stage was e-commerce, second stage was social media, third stage is now what we're calling Web3.
In 2021, when Facebook changed its name to Meta, the term Metaverse became a household name. And with it, other industries took note, one of the most visible being the world of fashion. Suddenly, major legacy brands were all in on the digital buzz. Gucci was one of the first, entering the metaverse with pop-up projects with Roblox. Tommy Hilfiger followed suit, creating collections in a New York Fashion Week experience with the online platform. Pretty soon, Prada was releasing digital collections, and in 2021, Nike bought Artifact, a virtual sneaker company, and a deal that signaled the brand's long-term commitment to Web3.
Why do you think some of these brands or some of these fashion houses have sort of jumped in on Web3 so hard?
I think a lot of the fashion brands have learned from maybe being a little bit slow to Web 1 and Web 2, and now they're trying to tap into not only new technologies, but what is becoming a really influential new consumer and new customer and new community. So I think just like any new culture, it might seem weird and it might seem foreign and it might seem ugly because it's new. But I think if fashion always wants to be cool and they always want to follow what's next, this is obviously what's next.
For Gen Z consumers who have never known a world without the internet, it's not a big leap. And it's the gaming community that's been driving this virtual fashion movement.
So if you look at a lot of kids these days, it's more important what they wear the night before they go to school playing the game Fortnite, than what they wear the day after at school. It's more important what they wear in the game. To me, those are all like signs of that our culture is shifting and there's a new generation that lays more value on the virtual expression of themselves and how they're being seen online than how they do in the physical reality.
Amber J. Slooten grew up as a gamer and also wanted to work in fashion. But when it came time to combining her two passions, the Netherlands native felt a disconnect while at fashion school.
I felt like the industry was so behind on all of the technology that was happening back then. And when I wanted to graduate with a digital collection, like all digital, nothing physical, and my teachers were like looking at me like I was absolutely nuts, like they didn't understand any of it, they didn't want to hear any of it because they didn't see any connection between gaming and fashion. But to me, they're one and the same thing, right? They are about expressing your identity and connecting to others. We were all living in Instagram platforms, sharing our identities online, and yet fashion was still so physical. And that's when I came across 3D modeling software with which you could actually create garments without ever having to produce them in the physical reality. And this is what really got me super fascinated because it combined the idea of a more sustainable future for fashion, which is something that I was really passionate about.
In 2018, Amber, along with her two co-founders, launched The Fabricant, a digital-only fashion house making waves in both the digital and traditional fashion worlds.
And we create clothing that is always digital and never ever physical. Right now, there's a lot of waste in the fashion industry. It's very pollutive as well. There's just new products being produced left and right. And we feel like with technology, we'll still be able to express ourselves in every unique way that we want without having to impact the planet as much with what we do, and to have more freedom and creativity of what we want to wear.
What's been the reception to the Fabricant?
So first, a lot of people didn't get it. A lot of fashion brands didn't get it. A lot of people around us didn't get it. We're like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you make any physical garments? But then in 2019, we sold the very first dress on the blockchain. And this was the first NFT of a dress that ever existed. And somebody paid $9,500 for a dress that never physically existed. And when everybody heard that, that's when people started taking us seriously.
The question that I think so many people have is, why would somebody pay real money for a digital product or a digital item.
In music, we have all accepted that music files are digital now. Like there's no more CD or vinyl that you're buying, that is a physical product. That has all become like files that you can use and wear. And I think right now we're at this threshold of where a lot of more of the products that we see today will become digital in the future.
So how do you actually wear these digital items?
How you can wear it is currently in different ways. So it's the AR filters, it's wearing it in virtual spaces. And if you're skilled enough, you could actually also dress your avatar with our items.
It's compelling from a creator economy standpoint because you can wear something which doesn't have to obey the laws of gravity, for example. So much more compelling as a content creator. But something that I often question is not all digital fashion brands are doing that. Not everybody's doing these wild, wacky, catch on fire, iridescent metal outfits. Some people are making a t-shirt that looks like a regular t-shirt, but it's digital. And I think in order for those to be competitive, the brand either has to be really strong or you have to be undercutting fast fashion in terms of either how they price their items or the type of items that they create, and that they start creating things that you could never in a million years get in a physical store.
Digital fashion is more than just a flex on social media. For creators like Danny Loftus, it offers a new realm of opportunities.
The way that I started was sending photos of myself into these digital fashion brands, and they would dress me in their digital clothes. I see this to be very compelling for, first of all, content creators. I've had photos of me which have gotten 400,000 impressions, all organically, because these outfits are so exciting and people haven't seen anything like it before. Also, from a brand perspective, you're not sending stuff to a ton of influencers. It's far more sustainable, it's far more cost effective. So I really see for the 4 billion plus users on social media, particularly content creators and micro-influencers, digital fashion to be compelling from that perspective.
With a background in emerging technology, Danny merged her interest in fashion with the online world. With her digital platform, This Outfit Does Not Exist.
Originally, it was just my side hustle. It was, I'm going to write 5,000 word essays on how the fashion industry is going to be revolutionized, and I'm going to tell you about the technology. And it was really aimed at maybe investors or people who worked in the industry. But I knew that that wasn't going to get my friends who like fashion to care. They weren't going to read my essays. So I was like, okay, I'll also show photos of myself wearing the clothes.
Her timing was pretty perfect. Digital fashion was still in its infancy, and as a result, a lot of these brands had no photos of people wearing their clothes.
So I started with an Instagram account with 0 followers, and I just started DMing them and was like, hey, I want to do this. This is a project that I'm doing. Do you want to have me wear your clothes? And I think I got very lucky because it became a point where, because I was the main person wearing the clothes, every time a magazine wanted to start talking about them or they needed to post a photo of somebody on their page, it became a photo of me.
About how much money would you estimate that you've spent on digital fashion?
So it's an interesting one because I obviously now get a lot of my digital fashion for free. I have probably spent $500, $600 because I get, gifted a lot of stuff.
Danny became one of the first digital fashion influencers, and now she's also an investor and founder of her own digital fashion company, Drop.
The majority of the digital assets you buy that you can fully own, you can't really wear anywhere. Thinking back to even the value you're trying to get out of a physical fashion piece, if I said to you, hey, do you want to buy this amazing jacket? But actually when you leave the mall, you're going to have to take it off. And if you want to sell it, you can only sell it in a couple of shops in the mall, and you'll actually have to give 15, 20, 30% back to the owner of the shop originally. And actually you can't modify it either. It wouldn't be very compelling. So at the baseline, Drop is trying to maximize the value of digital fashion for consumers and creators by giving the same values and the same utility to virtual fashion items that you get with items in the physical world.
The mission behind Drop also highlights one of the major tentpoles of Web3, equity.
With digital fashion, and especially Web3 native digital fashion, the value system is different. You're trying to say, I'm democratizing who has access to these clothes. And I'm trying to democratize who can create them and who can consume them. And that is so counter to everything that the luxury industry has previously stood for and the way that they've given their goods value.
We have a system where when a garment gets sold, this garment is created by multiple people, so not just one person. The person who made the garment, the person who made the fabric, and you who put them together and designed the look. You'll all get equal pay when this garment gets sold, so that everybody in the process that is involved will get equal share of what is happening in the sales.
So it's more equity. It's like you think of a creative director would get all the credit from a big fashion house, but with these platforms, it seems that everybody's involved and you can have your voice heard.
Exactly. That's really what we are trying to create, is a place where everybody will be able to contribute something. And then when you contribute, you also get something back.
So how is that price being set? Do you all set the price or do the creators set the price?
Basically, the creator that sells the item sets the price. So they decide on what the item costs.
There are big bets on Web3 as the future of fashion, but there's also this current question. How much money have brands made in this space so far? According to business and industry reports, an estimated $110 billion was spent on virtual goods globally in 2021. And the market is projected to be worth $135 billion by 2024. And for the estimated 3 billion gamers worldwide, buying virtual items of clothing sold in games, aka skins, are a massive draw and a source of profit for the publishers.
A single collection of skins, which was a partnership between Fortnite and the NFL, generated $50 million of revenue for the company.
Fashion in the metaverse also got a boost because of the pandemic.
When the pandemic hit in 2020, all of a sudden these budgets that had been relegated to innovation budgets or these small side projects got a lot more attention and a lot more investment and time and resources from these big brands because they literally could not interact with customers in the physical sense. And so we all of a sudden, we fast forwarded so many years of progress because this moment in time that no one could have predicted. And so now that we are coming out of the pandemic and we're on the other side of it, we have a little bit more of an appetite and we've accepted a little bit more risk.
In 2022, the first ever Metaverse Fashion Week was held. And although it wasn't glitch-free, it was an example of what's possible and the inclusiveness of opening up the traditional and very exclusive fashion space to the world.
If you're a young creator trying to come in the physical fashion space, how are you going to start? You need so much money to start creating your first physical collection. You need to be able to get it on models and influencers. And so if you're not in Paris, London, Milan, New York, it's really hard for you to start as well. And then even if you do, because it's so pricey and there are so many steps in the value creation process, even if you're making money, it's unlikely you're going to be making a massive profit and be able to sustain yourself. Whereas with digital tooling, what you can do is you can be anywhere in the world. You need a laptop, you can create the clothes, you can get them on people anywhere in the world with digital render, and you can start building up yourself and your brand.
But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone really thinks that the traditional fashion show model of presenting something, people come in person, it's worn by people, there's music, there's physical, environmental elements. I really don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, and I don't think anyone really wants that to go away.